of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll.
Alderman Tobin.
Here.
Alderman Jean-Francois.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderwoman Ray. Alderman Kleiner.
Here.
Alderman Green.
Here.
Alderman Witt.
Here.
Alderman Massey. President Rodriguez.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Approval of minutes.
We have October 1st, 2024.
Motion to approve. Alderman Green, second by Alderman Witt. All in favor? Aye. Passes. Correspondence.
We have the Municipal Shelter Inspection Report from September 27, 2024.
Received and filed.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it for this evening.
Okay, for the good of the city, anyone would like to address the council, please step forward. Just remind to be respectful, 3 minutes.
All right, good evening, council. My name is Jason Ichan. I am a city resident, and for the 6th consecutive meeting, our community has gathered to urge you to pass Middletown's ceasefire resolution. I'd like to commend each and every one of you for passing a resolution calling for global peace. I know some of you were concerned previously about commenting on international affairs, so this is certainly a step in the right direction. It acknowledges that Middletown does not exist in a silo, that our city is part of a larger global community, interconnected and influential beyond its borders. As President Rodriguez emphasized, our city has a strong relationship with our congressmen, and part of the council's purpose includes engaging with elected officials in Albany. This is why we feel this is the appropriate place to voice our concerns. The only way real positive change happens in this country is when everyday working people start rising up within their communities and build up pressure locally on these issues. Each and every one of you has the power to promote and solidify our city's effort by championing a ceasefire resolution, so we can add our city to the list of municipalities calling on our federal government to end the violence. Our resolution must include verbiage calling for an immediate, permanent ceasefire. The resolution recently passed does not include this. It also doesn't include any wording about halting military funding to Israel and redirecting those funds to our community. We'd like to see a stronger version passed, and we are willing to work with you on getting this done. Now, briefly, regarding good cause eviction, back on August 20th, Alderman Johnson stated that good cause was on the legislative committee's potential agenda, but that you were waiting for the administration to gather appropriate facts and figures about the law. Since then, Beacon, Hudson, and Newburgh have all passed strong versions of the law since I last spoke about it here in the summertime. So we really just want to make sure that you are working on this. We need Middletown's Common Council to sponsor legislation with a portfolio size of 1 unit, maximizing protections for tenants. That is the key part of this law that we need, because there's a lot of small landlords. We want to make sure all our tenants are protected. Longstanding residents of this community are being evicted left and right. Is good cause eviction in the committee yet? Is it being drafted? Please speak to this as well as the ceasefire resolution in your remarks. Plenty of folks, this is their first time coming up here to speak, so we'd really like to hear your input. There's a lot of times that we come here and you guys will say, like, no remarks for today, nothing today. But people are literally, shedding their heart out, like crying their eyes out up here. We would like you to respond, and it's the least you could do. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd just like to address, sir, I'm not sure why you would think that I would not be truthful, but if I say it's under consideration, it is under consideration. If I say the administration is studying it, that's because the administration is studying it. I do not need you to remind me. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sam Kimble. I'm an Orange County resident, born and raised. I'm an American, which sadly I do not say proudly today because of the murder of civilians by the tens and hundreds of thousands in Gaza today by bombing, burning, sniping, starvation, disease, summary executions, and more by Israel's army, which my country pays for with my tax dollars. It is arming a genocidal military high on utter impunity and racist fantasies of eliminating Palestinians. It is visible on social media for anyone with an internet connection to see. It is this country here providing the bombs, funding, and unquestioning diplomatic support to protect this genocidal army no matter the cost. Middletown must call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and an embargo on all military aid to Israel, without which it will not stop its mass violence. We are witnessing the crime of crimes. They, anyone who sees this, and you, cannot say they do not know or that it's, quote, too complicated. But what will you do about it? An example. A coalition of unions representing millions of union members in the United States sent a letter to President Biden urging for a permanent, immediate ceasefire and halt of military aid to Israel. Here you are, elected officials in Middletown, New York, holding a meeting to hear the views of your community members. You know my demand, which aligns with the views and desires of many other community members who know the horrors being committed right now. But you previously issued a largely empty resolution calling for, quote, peace across the globe and an immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. But what does this mean? Why do you avoid taking a stance on the clearest crime against humanity of our time, one that calls for a ceasefire in the Israeli war in Gaza and a hard stop to American weapons to Israel? Is it because you claim that the rest of the council is not interested, or that your constituents don't vote for you because of your foreign policy views? Are lobbies threatening you? Are you just careerists who will not rock the boat in ways that might bother those higher up in the political chain, like the mayor? I certainly hope not. This is a moment of mass death, aided and abetted by our government, in which you can choose to have courage and to take a small, simple action that is in line with our moral imperative as people who want justice, not oppression. History will judge harshly those among us who do not take action to halt this crime. May you rise to the needs of the people of Gaza, to the need to stop genocide. Thanks.
Thank you. For the rest of the people coming up, please just tell us if you're a resident of Middletown, where you're from. We'd like to hear where you're from.
Good evening. My name is Adam Byrne, and Middletown has always been my city. And it pains me on a deep level to know that, like every other city in America, our tax dollars are funding the deaths of tens of hundreds of thousands. You might think it's too big for you. I think it's too big for me. But here I am. Here we all are. It's certainly within our wheelhouse to do something. I understand how you may feel that it's out of your hands, but it is absolutely not. We can begin to see real change if this city calls for a ceasefire. And I do believe that. And I hope you are willing to do something so small and simple that could have effects that are so huge. Thank you.
John?
Hello, my name is Cody. I am a lifelong resident of Newburgh. I go to school in Middletown. I spend my money here. My great-grandmother survived the Odessa massacre in Ukraine, which was when half of all Jews in Odessa were killed by Romanian Nazis and the other half survived. My great-grandmother watched her neighbors and friends and family be slaughtered. And luckily for me, and for her, and for my father, and for my sister, she made it out alive. What I am seeing with these pictures and videos coming out of Gaza is horrifically remnant of what she would have saw. She's no longer with us, and I don't pretend to know what she would have thought about this situation. But as someone who would not be alive today if it weren't for the bravery of others to stop a genocide, I call on my elected representatives from all over New York State and here in Middletown, where I spend my tuition money and my tax dollars on your goods and at your stores, to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, because we cannot let never again means never again for anyone. And Israel does not have the right to commit a genocide just because of the atrocities of the Holocaust.
Hi, Council. I would definitely like to reiterate the point that Jason made. We do appreciate that the Council did take
Just for the record, can you state your name, where you're from?
My name is Mia Rosario. I am from Chester, New York. I would like to reiterate what Jason had said. We do value that the Council did take the opportunity to take a stance on what is happening around the world, but we do want to take that another step forward. One thing that I really want to acknowledge is what is happening in Gaza blatantly in every sense of the word is a genocide. It's not a war. It's not based on religion. It is a genocide. You have the UN, some of the most, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, some of the most accredited organizations in the world saying the same thing over and over and over again. You have the state being tried for genocide in international court. You have the state have already been charged as apartheid. Those things, it's not okay anywhere. No matter any sort of biases or how we feel about any sort of group of people, especially when those biases are based on false allegations, apartheid, which is as similar as what America experienced or did to African Americans with Jim Crow. It is not okay for anyone, anywhere, at any time. Apartheid South Africa, we can all acknowledge, was wrong. That includes Palestine and Israel. These things are just as serious then and in those situations as they are here now. Those situations are exactly applicable. And we can all look back in those situations in the past and as Americans be like, that was the past, those were things that are bad, we're different now. But clearly we're not. Clearly we're not. Because when we went to school and we went to history class and we sat there and we learned and we said to ourselves, oh, if I was born in this time, I would have been different. I would have done something. I would have said something. I wouldn't have been like the other people who were quiet or allowed these things to happen to innocent people. We are living that now. America has never changed. The world is still the same as it has always been, with the same small groups of people committing atrocities around the world for small corporate interests. We understand that these things are about oil. We understand these things are about control over the Middle East. We understand these consensuses. But none of these things are a green light or are an okay for us to say that it's okay for genocide and that these issues are too complicated, because they are not. The city of Middletown, while small, is one piece of an entire puzzle. Are we not a part of the United States of America? Do we not represent our country? We are funding this, and it's simply wrong, and there's no way to dice it or slice it any differently. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Charles Lewis. I am a lifelong resident of Middletown, the 4th Ward. I'm here to, first of all, commend you all for coming to some sort of resolution. The last time I was here, it seemed to be up in the air of what should be done. So I'm very proud to say that my town was a town that said they was going to do something. I'm asking us to go a little bit farther, not as far as other people have gone. I'm here to let you know that Italy already said that they're going to stop supplying Israel. They've done that since October. Germany refused to supply weapons to Israel since March. UK has canceled around 30 licenses to supply weapons. France and Spain advocated for full weapons embargoes. Canada has suspended 30 permits for arms sales to Israel. United States, the Biden administration, threatens to halt weapons supply to Israel for its fight with Hezbollah and Iran. I'm just asking for the norm because there's dying kids. That's all we're asking for. We have to make it stronger. We have to make it louder because it counts, right? It's our money. It's our voices. We're all going to vote tomorrow, right? The vote counts. Our money counts. If our votes are misused, if our funds are misused, then what's the point? It means we're powerless. I don't see a powerless person in here because you signed a resolution. I'm just asking to go a little further. You know, I heard over the freeze, there was problems with 301 getting people housed and homeless. So that tells me we don't have the option to make any other homeless person in this nation, in this country, in this world. We struggle with it right here. Thank you. Free Gaza.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. My name is Jeremy Fulton. I live and work in Middletown in the healthcare sector. I'm also a graduate of SUNY Orange. I also request a resolution for a ceasefire. I think it's important to acknowledge that opposing mass murder and genocidal ethnic cleansing of tens of thousands of women, children, and elderly in an imprisoned population is not the same as anti-Semitism. And obviously, none of us have the power to change that, but small actions can build up over time. And we should take action to maybe do what we can to stop this before it becomes another Rwanda. Thank you.
Good evening. Excuse me. My name's Alejandro. I was here last time. Some of you might remember me. I might have gotten off on the wrong foot. I might have been a little bit more brisk than I should have been. I might have been looking at my telephone instead of making eye contact with you and trying to make a human connection with you. So I do apologize because I understand that we are all humans. And as a defense of last time I was here, it was out of desperation. Sincere moment of desperation of trying to make as much of an impact as possible. So I apologize. I went on a rant on letting you know that this country is not in fact America. It is in fact the United States of America. Of is a preposition. I wanted to, and the last time I wasn't able to complete my speech. I was interrupted and I wasn't able to complete it. But part of what I wanted to complete it was history keeps ticking by. One day we'll all pass and our kids and our grandkids will carry on the legacy of whatever they have to deal with at that time. And I felt that it was important for me to give a contextual, historical place of where we came from and where we are, and thus to where we want to be. I think as a nation that did, in fact, commit one of the greatest genocides in history, which was the genocide of the native people of this country. Now, it wasn't us, it wasn't the citizens of the 1776, but it was the settler colonialists, which a lot of us represent in some way or another. I know for a fact my ancestors are part of that legacy. So I want to make better as a citizen of this country by not supporting that legacy. And I wanted to juxtapose it with what's happening in Israel. What's happening in Palestine, actually. What's happening in that Holy Land is that we, with the history that we brought of this settler colonialist, somehow, down the line, we've managed to fund a very similar enterprise in the Middle East. We need to focus our energy on this country. We need to start by being benevolent. We need to be benevolent. We need to be loving. We need to love our own people. But we have to start also by not starting fires abroad. We need to love the rest of the world. The world is looking at us. I'm telling you from somebody who worked at the United Nations for many years, who worked
in part with the U.S. military, with the Air Force. The world has an opinion of the United States based on the way we've done policies domestically and internationally. My point to you, gentlemen, and the lady who's not here, we have to look forward and the kind of imprint that we want to leave, that you want to leave. Now, I don't have as much power, let's say, as you guys do, because you have these seats. But it's important to do your best to ask for a ceasefire and for an end of this occupation and stop supporting Israel. We have to do things domestically.
Good evening, Council. My name is Chelsea V Alba. I am a licensed social worker in the Valley. I have loved ones in this town and spend my hard-earned money here. But at this time, I am unable to continue to support the Middletown economy while it refuses to address the concerns of its citizens. I come to state my full support for the strongest version of good cause eviction. Follow Kingston, Newburgh, Albany, and Beacon, who decided that they value blue-collar workers who earn minimum wage and cannot afford to be pushed out via unreasonable rent hikes during a housing and economic crisis. I also commend you all for passing a resolution calling for global peace and the release of all hostages, including the tens of thousands of Palestinian hostages held by the Israeli regime. Heartbreak is the weakest word to describe the last 394 days. The death toll of Palestinians increases every minute, with over 120,000 killed according to the trusted Lancet Medical Journal, and millions more displaced, disabled for life, and orphaned. I see you proudly hang the Ukrainian flag in your lobby. Last I recall, Ukraine is not in the United States. This signals to me that this body does take a stance on injustices, global or domestic. You may not perceive this as a local matter, but it is a fact that the United States is facilitating the annihilation of Palestinians via the unconstitutional transfer of billions in dollars and weapons to an apartheid state. Our federal government is misusing all of our collective tax dollars instead of addressing the housing, food security, education, and healthcare crises right here at home. I ask all of you to think of your children, think of your grandchildren, think of your family and friends in North Carolina, in Florida, in Spain right now, who have experienced tremendous once-in-a-lifetime floods, extreme weather events that continue to happen more than once in a lifetime. And I ask you to use your critical thinking and ask why. Please consider this. Tons of bombs on the face of this planet causes harm to all of us. I ask you to consider that all of these people keep showing up here because their federal officials and state officials have decided that U.S. foreign policy must continue to kill and be an economy of death and destruction instead of taking care of ourselves and each other. We are global citizens, each and every one of us. Climate does not exist in a silo. So I ask you to consider what kind of future and world you want your children to live in. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Warda. I'm an Orange County resident. My 3 kids go to college in Middletown. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. Today I stand before you as a Palestinian woman, a voice for those who cannot be heard, and a witness to unimaginable suffering endured by my people. Recently, I had heart-wrenching experiencing by meeting 3 Palestinians who had been forced to flee out of Gaza. Fadi, a 7-year-old refugee who lost everything. He was severely impacted by the hunger crisis and reached a point to where he was just 22 pounds. The young boy suffered medical issues that no child should endure. Noor, 11 years old, another refugee who fled the violence and also suffered medical issues, resulted in feeding tubes in order to consume meals, lost her father from the ongoing genocide, and finally, Marah, a resilient 17-year-old young woman, after losing both of her legs and lots of family members, continues to inspire us all with her spirit. Each of their stories a proof of the ongoing crisis in Palestine, a crisis marked by constant violence, displacement, and despair. The world has seen images of bombed out homes, families torn apart, and children caught in the crossfire, yet the true depth of this tragedy goes far beyond what's captured by photographs or the news. Fadi's eyes reflect the pain of loss, his family is scattered, and his dreams are shattered. Noor's journey from her home to refugee status highlights the harsh realities faced by many individuals. And Marah, her unstoppable spirit, is a reminder of human cost of conflict. She represents so many who has been impacted, yet continues to fight for her dignity. As I listened to the story, I was struck by the weight of their experiences, and it was a burden I cannot fully bear. Yet I'm encouraged to come out and speak. The suffering they went through is not just a Palestinian issue, it's a human issue. It calls for immediate action for the world to acknowledge that we need an urgent need for a ceasefire. Every day we witness escalation of violence, the loss of innocent lives. Children should not grow up in fear. Families should not flee their homes. A ceasefire is not a pause in hostilities, it's a crucial step towards healing and rebuilding the lives. I urge you as representatives of our community to advocate for peace. Speak to our leaders, amplify the voices like Fadi, Noor, and Marah, and stand firm in the commitment of human rights and dignity for all. Let's not wait for another tragedy to unfold. Let's act now. A ceasefire is merely a request. It's a necessity for the future of countless individuals who deserve to live in peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dana, and I'm a Washingtonville resident, and I'm a member of this community. I'd first like to acknowledge the Lenape and Mohican land that we occupy here. I'd like to admit something to this room, and that is that I find life hard. I find questions of morality and God often beyond my grasp. Many times I have tried to do what is right, and I am certain that I have failed. I formally studied the laws of this land, thinking that I would arrive at clear answers, but I only arrived at more questions. It is how I know that my education and interaction with the law was successful. The only thing that I can ask of this room is to be brave and continue to ask the hard questions. It is your job. As you pore over images of children's bodies burning in the street and are forced to witness the numerous war crimes that we are enduring, I ask that you not shy from the pain of this, that you not allow the news or bureaucracy or the parroting of information to convince you that this is simple or not your problem, or that there is nothing that you can do. We are asking you to do something. To ask these questions is not only the basis of the very existence of government, it is the basis of what it means to be a human being. You know, every law in this nation is based on an older law from this very region. That law is the great law of peace of the Haudenosaunee people. There was a time when they faced great and seemingly endless bloodshed too, but they did not shy away from it. They did not turn their heads or pass meaningless resolutions. They asked and begged for a way to stop it, and they found it. Anyone who sits here must believe that they were at least as good as they were. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Milad. I'm a Palestinian American. I made home in Middletown. I want to tell you some facts about some terrorism that took place in Palestine. 1946, Zionist terrorist group Irgun bombed the British administrative office in King David Hotel in Jerusalem. More than 96 people were killed. 1948, Zionist terrorists massacred and destroyed the village of Deir Yassin. 110 Palestinians died. 1947 through 1949, the Haganah, Irgun, and Stern gangs, which eventually became IDF, occupied more than 78% of historic Palestine, ethnically cleansed and destroyed 530 villages and cities, murdered over 15,000 Palestinians, and carried more than 70 massacres. Israel launched a vicious attack against 1967. Israel launched a vicious attack against the USS Liberty intelligence ship in an international water close to Sinai Peninsula coast during 6-day war. Over 171 crew members were hurt and 34 were killed. In order to attribute the attack to Egypt, the objective was to destroy and kill every person on board, but our friends were exposed by the courage of our sailors. 1982, with the support of IDF, the Israeli Genocide Forces, the Lebanon, with the help of Israeli Genocide Forces, Lebanon militia perpetrated Sabra and Shatila camp in Lebanon, killing over 3,500 men, women, and children over the course of 3 days. Later, the United Nations deemed it to be an act of genocide. Ariel Sharon was personally responsible for the attack and forced to resign. Later, he became the Israeli Prime Minister. On 11/25/1940, Zionist terrorist group Haganah blew the hole in the bottom of the SS Patriot ship filled with 1,771 Jewish illegal immigrants, killing 267 Jewish illegal immigrants and injuring 172. 9/27/24, Israel detonated several thousands of pagers in Lebanon. The blast killed over 37 people, including children, and injured nearly 3,000. The town finally has arrived to support or oppose the genocide, and there is no middle ground, since who's facilitating it wants us to remain silent or support it. If you don't call for immediate and conditional ceasefire, our administration will continue to provide Israel with infant shredding technology. If you do nothing to assist, your hands will be permanently tainted with the blood of defenseless children. When your children or grandchildren ask you, Daddy, you lived through this Holocaust, what did you do? What would you say? Did you assist in shielding the murderer or encouraged it? I'm pleading with everyone to wake up the human inside of ourselves and make a decision after letting go of the demon that's been possessing us. I just one more thing. I want to thank you for passing the ceasefire resolution that including release of all hostages, which is mainly that includes the Palestinian detainees, because the Palestinian detainees are considered hostages by the international law.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name's Steve Swift. I'm from Bloomingburg. I try to buy as much as I can in Middletown. And I'm glad the mayor pointed out to me the difference between Middletown and Wallkill, which honestly I did not know. Anyway, one death is a tragedy. 1 million is a statistic. When we hear these numbers, there's so many thousands of people died. What got us to get out of Vietnam? This is what? Images. This was, people remember this was My Lai massacre. 347 up to 500 people were slaughtered. Mostly women, children, and elderly men. I'm sure some of you remember that. Or you probably remember this too. This was a photo that changed the course of the Vietnam War. That's what the New York Times said. This is when the colonel assassinated a Viet Cong, a handcuffed Viet Cong in the streets. Probably the most famous photo of all. She's called a napalm girl. That's what American bombs do. Now, you may not have seen this picture because I'm looking at different news media than some of you are maybe, but this woman, does anyone know who she is? Woman. She's a 5-year-old girl. What am I saying? Her name is Hind. And Hind was in a car with her relatives. The car was attacked by a tank. Hind was, everyone around her, her family members died. Hind was on the phone for 3 hours talking to the Red Crescent, asking them to come. They stayed on the phone 3 hours with her. They sent a Red Crescent ambulance. They had full clearance from the Israelis. You know this. They were bombed. They were killed. She was killed. Everyone's dead. This young man, Shaban Dalu, 19 years old, he was a software engineer student who had memorized the Quran. He was hospitalized in a tent next to a hospital, connected to an IV. this is what happened to him. Israelis are still investigating. If you can do anything to help us with a ceasefire resolution, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
You're out of order. Nobody's on their phones, and we're in public comment.
My name is Karen. I'm a Middletown resident, and this is what I have to say. We need a ceasefire now, and an active arms embargo, because it's enough killing. Children should not be dying. Do something about it.
Good evening, council members. Amanda, I'm from the 4th Ward in Middletown. I'd like to start with commending all of you and thanking you for, passing this resolution. I think it's a good start, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. So thank you for doing that. I think we do need global peace. I think we would appreciate for, hopefully the next resolution to be a part of the process, and to hopefully include some things that are more specific, and really an example of what that should be is support an arms embargo and measures to end U.S. military aid to Israel, transferring allocated but unspent funds to local domestic community needs, housing, childcare, education, etc. That's something that's in the resolution that we are trying to pass. I think it's a really important point, and just something that we can strongly bring up to our government officials to, show them that this is what we need. So I think we're all pretty distracted right now with the election and, seeing what's going to unfold. So I think that it's still important to bring up that even though we're distracted right now with this, we can't forget about the annihilation that is occurring right now, more specifically in the north of Gaza, where they're killing more and more people every single day and not letting any food or resources get to them. So I think, no matter what happens for this election, Gaza is still being annihilated. And so a resolution needs to be passed and sent to our government officials either way. So I think that we as the people, we have a responsibility to speak out and demand that our tax dollars go back into the needs of the community and not bombs in another country. And that fact is not going to change based on this election. Lastly, just want to mention good cause eviction because I'm a tenant, so would appreciate an update on that because I think it's really important that we get that passed because I would like to be protected as a tenant from high rent increases and unreasonable evictions. So thank you.
Good evening, Council, and good evening, Mayor. My name is Khloe Etienne. I am a graduate from Washingtonville High School and a longtime resident of the Orange County, Hudson Valley area, and both of my grandparents are proud residents of Middletown. There have been a lot of great speeches this evening. I would just like to appeal to the humanity and spend some time reading out some of the tens of thousands of documented people who have perished in Gaza. The people I am naming are under 1 year old, so infants, and these are only the ones that we have documented. Joel Atala Ibrahim Al-Amsh, female, 0 years old. Manal Moamen Majed Abu Al-Af, female, under 1 year old. Youssef Hatim Youssef Abu Mahdi, male, under 1 year old. Rafif Mahmoud Aref Al-Fakawi, female, under 1 year old. Jihad Mohammed Rafet Al-Dalis, male, under 1 year old. Dia Ahmed Abdul Ati Saleh Musa, male, under 1 year old. Lana Youssef Ahmed Lolu, female, under 1 year old. Sham Ahmed Fauzi Al-Kwafedi, female, under 1 year old. Ailul Omar Kamal Abu Raham, female, under 1 year old. Raed Khaled Raid Rajab, male, under 1 year old. Basil Mohammed Hassam Abu Jasser, under 1 year old, male. Suzanne Iyad Mohammed Ali Ashi, female, under 1 year old. And those are just some of the names of tens of thousands of documented, not to mention the people who we have not found tragically, people who have been killed with our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah. I'm an Orange County resident. My partner and I send our child to daycare in Middletown, and my partner works for the city of Middletown. I am not a full-time activist. No. I am a parent missing bedtime. I'm an educator. I'm a human being. I am not here because I'm trying to waste your time. I am here because my friends have asked me for help. Desperate help. And I need your help to help them. You see, my friends are very much alive. Basan, Mara, Mahmoud, Sana, Adam, Hiba, Ahmed, Islam, Faisal, Muhammad, just to name a few. And they have been begging me, a human they've befriended for the last year, to get the world to listen and to stop bombing their land. Simple as that. I don't think for 1 second we in this room can fully empathize with their experience in Gaza right now. Mara told me that she thought her 3-year-old daughter, Sana, was going to have a literal heart attack because of how narrowly her family missed artillery from the IDF during one of their 9 emergency evacuations. Basan regularly sends me photos of her crumbling shelter, exposed, leaving her community of 25 completely vulnerable to the rainfall and the winter cold. Islam's family has had nothing but flour to eat, contaminated with worms and disease. But my friends, who are very much alive, have asked me for help because our government, the government of the so-called United States, has elected to give more and more money to the people who have been aggressively murdering them. The people who slaughtered Mara's husband, who destroyed Basan's newlywed life, and the people who have starved Islam and her family of 6. You all in this room have very important and busy jobs. I get it. I'm an educator. I served in public schools for over a decade. There are a million other causes and priorities to support right now, like good cause eviction, which I hope you all do pass. The resolution that was passed last month was a step in the right direction, acknowledging our role in the greater international space. But it is not enough. And this is a key opportunity for all of you to be on the right side of history and to also help me help my friends. Support an arms embargo, an end to the violence, and help us divest our city tax dollars from arms and weapons manufacturing that further the war machine. I know many Americans feel incredibly anxious at the outcome of the election tomorrow, myself included. No matter the outcome, after tomorrow, millions of Americans won't have a voice and will likely have a president intent on continuing this genocide, backed by a Congress filled with many other genocide apologists. We need our council to help us still have a voice. Whether you like it or not, this room is 100% the forum to be asking all of you to support an arms embargo. You owe it to them, you owe it to humanity, you owe it to yourselves. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Camila. I'm a resident of Middletown. I work in Middletown. I have been a SUNY Orange student. I'd hope to be a SUNY Orange student again in the future. I don't have a particularly moving or eloquent speech prepared for you. I think you've heard many of them tonight. And you will continue to hear more every council meeting until you do pass a ceasefire resolution, because we will continue to show up. I spent my life growing up in Middletown and wanting to get out of it. I didn't think this was a particularly fun or interesting city that I saw myself having a fun, interesting adulthood in. I did leave briefly to be living in North Carolina, and then I came back, and I'm actually finding that I am proud to live here, that there are a lot of people doing a lot of good work here, including this council. Honestly, I didn't really know anything about how local government worked besides having watched like Parks and Rec. And it's really interesting to sit here and genuinely to watch you guys pass like all these different random, small, seemingly insignificant resolutions about parking, about, you know, this funding this and funding that, and seeing how it all comes together to run an entire city. I had no idea our city budget was so big, that there were all of these things happening, that you help with all of these different causes. And it's really fascinating to watch it in action. And I hope that eventually I will be able to be part of that by you guys passing this resolution that I'm helping to support, because that is something that this council can do. I commend you, as others have said before, for passing a resolution for global peace. I certainly support that as well. And like they said, we can go further. So I urge you to pass a resolution with calling for a ceasefire, calling for an arms embargo, calling for our tax dollars to stay in Middletown, to stay in New York, to stay in America, to not fund genocide, because that's not where I want my money going. That's not the person that I want to be. That's not something that I want to have to be accountable for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Hello to all. My name is Mohammed. I am a Sunni Orange student, and I am a Palestinian American. I'm here to speak about the urgent need for a ceasefire and understanding in the light of tragic events in Gaza. What we are seeing right now did not begin on October 7th. It has deep roots going back to 1948. That year established of the State of Israel marked the Nakba, or the catastrophe, for Palestinians, and hundreds of thousands were ethnically cleansed from their homes, setting the stage for decades of suffering and unresolved issues. This extends beyond Gaza and Lebanon, or also experience attacks and a humanitarian crisis. They are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern of occupation, ethnic cleansing, and the fight for self-determination that has devastated lives across the region. Let me be clear. This is not a war on religion. This is about occupation and systematic targeting of an entire Palestinians. As Palestinian Christians, Muslims, and Jews have lived together in the region for centuries, recognizing this fact is crucial, as it shows that this is a struggle for basic human rights, not a religious conflict. Today, Gaza is a landscape of devastation as entire neighborhoods are reduced to rubble, and vital infrastructure has collapsed. More than 45,000 have been killed, including children. Over 1.5 million individuals have been displaced as hospitals are destroyed and doctors are overwhelmed with cases, including amputees. Shockingly, Gaza is now one of the highest percent of child amputees in the world. Let that sink in. Families are being wiped out entirely by American-made missiles funded by our tax dollars. These weapons are destroying homes, schools, churches, and mosques, as well as lives, pushing the population to the brink of despair. The violence has already claimed countless lives, with more at risk each day. A ceasefire is not just a pause, it's a lifeline for those suffering the most without it. The cycle of destruction will continue, and more people in Gaza and Lebanon will face catastrophic consequences. As winters approach, the urgency is even greater. People without homes, heat, or basic resources are at severe risk of further tragedy due to exposure of starvation and lack of medical care. What we are witnessing. Thank you very much.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Vanessa Sid in the 2nd Ward. I'm here today for two things. First one, I learned about the World Peace Resolution from the last council meeting during the live stream. A couple of things that I feel inclined to add about the resolution I feel should have included for an immediate permanent ceasefire. The recently passed resolution does not include this at all. We can't bomb our way to world peace. A strong version would look like calling on our federal representatives to redirect those funds that are currently funding this genocide to our community who desperately need it. In regards to good cause eviction, there are now 9 cities that have opted to protect their tenants in their municipality and have passed the strongest version of one portfolio size. The housing crisis has gotten worse over the years. Having organized my community over the years, it's the same horrible situation of being priced out. It is crucial that we can protect as many tenants as possible. I have friends and family with children that have ended up homeless right here in Middletown that I have offered. They have stayed in my home until they could find somewhere where they could stay because they could no longer afford to live alone. So they had to move in with another family. Can you imagine that? That's considered boarding housing. It's what's been going on. The cities that have taken a stance for tenants are Hudson, New Paltz, Nyack, Newburgh, Beacon, Ithaca, Kingston, Albany, and Poughkeepsie. It's unfortunate many people in our community now have moved out of the city because they cannot afford to live here anymore. I am urging you all to finally make Middletown number 10 on that list before the year ends. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bravin Runga, and I'm the political director at For the Many. Our office is at 5 Main Street here in Middletown. I'm here to speak on good cause eviction legislation that you are considering that would protect tenants against unreasonable rent hikes and unjustified evictions. I really thank the council for considering this legislation, but also want to urge you to pass it with all due haste and move this process forward. This is the single biggest step that the Middletown Common Council can take to protect your tenants. It'll keep families in their homes, it will keep rental prices down, and it will empower tenants to ask for better living conditions and needed repairs. Every moment that you delay means more tenants being forced out of their homes, more skyrocketing rents, and more abuse by landlords. Cities such as Kingston, Poughkeepsie, and Hudson have already passed good cause eviction, and tenants in those cities are using those protections right now to stay in their homes. Here in Middletown, nearly half of the folks that live here live in rental households, and over the last 5 years, an average of 25% increase in their rents has occurred. And 58% of the tenants in Middletown are rent burdened, which means that their rent is more than a third of their income, which is clearly unaffordable. I also urge you to pass a strong version of good cause eviction, as every single upstate city has so far done. That would include a 1-unit portfolio size exemption, which would cover a so-called LLC loophole that could be exploited by larger landlords by creating multiple LLCs, and would also ensure that you cover as many tenants as possible. I also urge you to create a luxury rent exemption of 345% of the fair market rent to make sure that only truly luxury apartments are exempt. I'd also just want to clear up a few misconceptions spread about the law. Regarding the threat of a lawsuit, this law is fully within the power of municipalities to pass, as has been affirmed by state legislation earlier this year. There have been no successful lawsuits against these local good cause laws after the state passed good cause eviction earlier this year. There's also absolutely no evidence that good cause eviction reduces the housing supply This is misinformation that is spread by corporate developers. And also, would just state that small and good landlords that treat their tenants' rights, that don't rent gouge, that don't evict them without a good cause, have absolutely nothing to fear by this legislation. This law just codifies the existing practices of the good landlords, because tenants shouldn't have to rely on the goodwill of their landlords to stay in their homes. That should be a right that's affirmed by the city government. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Imani, and I'm an Orange County resident. I'm an educator, and I really wasn't going to speak tonight. I actually was going to just be here in solidarity with everyone in the room. But I was truly inspired and motivated by I think she's maybe 9-year-old girl in the back. And then also thinking about what I tell my students, that you need to do things when you're scared. And I wanted to share with you that Palestine was a place that welcomed me. I just wanted to go on an adventure, and my best friend was teaching there, and her partner lived there, and she is a queer person who lived her life fully, even though every day her life was threatened because she's queer. And she is so relentless, and I'm standing here for her. I'm standing here for the kids who have no way out. We should be encouraging and empowering them. They're kids in tech, they're kids in STEM. There are people building businesses, and we need to be encouraging them to live their fullest life and giving them dignity. And it's not fair for us to be here in this country with all this power and not help. My friends and family in Palestine are asking for help. I've sent money, I've marched, I've called people. It's not getting there. What do we do? At this point, there's nothing for us to do other than to organize and to make our voices and dollars impactful. These kids are so brilliant. These people are so welcoming, so inspiring. The land is beautiful. They have a rich culture, and as somebody who drove up and down the mountains of Palestine in a car, was fearful of falling off the side of the road, I was excited to be there. All the things that I'd heard about Palestine before being there, all the fears that I had, I no longer had because people welcomed me. I went to cafes, I talked to people about art, I met students in the street. And I think that we really need to recognize that they are people as well. And our dollars should be funding their development, building their houses back, creating art for them, creating opportunity. So please consider this permanent ceasefire. Thank you.
Buenas noches, señores. Mi nombre es Marcos y mi inglés no es muy bueno, así que me van a ayudar.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcos. My English isn't that well, so I'm going to have some help tonight.
Gracias por darme este espacio.
Thank you for giving me the space.
Vivo unos 8 años aquí en Middletown
I've been living 8 years in Middletown now.
y pues estoy aquí porque pensé que a mí no me iba a pasar lo que estamos peleando por el desalojo por buena causa.
And I'm here today because I didn't think what we were fighting for was actually going to happen to me. And what I'm fighting for is the good cause eviction law.
Entonces, hoy me avisaron
And so-
porque vinieron a arreglar la regadera a mi casa
And so today I was reminded because they came to fix the faucet in my house.
y me dijo que probablemente me va a aumentar la renta de 1,650 a 2,500.
So he said, you know, I might raise the rent from 1,650 to 2,600?
500.
$2,500.
Entonces, pues, dije, wow. Entonces, ahora me doy cuenta de que sí es necesario que nos apoyen para pasar esta ley.
And I said, wow, it is very necessary to have support for this law.
Les agradezco por escucharme y ojalá puedan ayudarnos para pasar esta ley desalojo por buena causa.
Thank you for listening, and I hope that you will all
Gracias.
support passing good cause eviction. Thank you.
Buenas noches.
All right, thank you. Remarks of the mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can I interrupt for a second? Sure. Since the folks are here, I want to reiterate, as I'm on the record, which was apparently questioned, that it's only at the legislative committee when you're ready to present, and that I've spoken with you once every week or two. And then once you're ready to present, you will come to the committee. So if you could address the timing on that, or
Sure.
lack thereof, so we understand what the process is. Thank you.
One thing is as I addressed on the Gaza issue in the beginning, was the credibility of speakers. And I'm so surprised that when Bravan was up here speaking, that he didn't tell the people regarding who are supportive of good cause eviction, that you, me, and him have a meeting, I believe this Thursday, at 3:30 in the afternoon.
That's correct.
And that him and I have been corresponding by email regarding good cause eviction.
That was not mentioned.
That was kind of silent. And he came up here to present in a way like we've had no discussion on this issue. So that's kind of disappointing when you advocate for a cause that you don't disclose that you have been part of the discussion when he's heard others say to you, I think the gentleman in the beginning, directly question your credibility on whether this issue was being addressed.
I took it that way.
Well, you certainly did, and you responded. So I'm quite surprised. But our meeting is still on for 3:30 on Thursday, and we'll continue to move ahead with
Just want to
our
clarify, that
discussion.
is a private meeting, correct?
That is a private meeting, yes. And as him as a representative, I believe of Nobody Leaves Hudson, I believe, is the organization he was representing.
Understood. Thank
So
you.
that cleared, I hope in the future that when he does speak, that he will make it very clear that there have been not only emails and questions back and forth a little bit, but also offers by him to provide more information and to address any future questions that we may have in helping us to at least move forward on some type of resolution. May not agree with the whole thing, but we have been working and moving forward on it.
Thank you.
And that lack of disclosure is disappointing. So let's move on to the presentation for this evening. And this is the O&W announcement that we had within the last couple of weeks at the O&W station on Lau Avenue. This project continues to move forward. We had a major tenant announcement on at this press conference with recap. The project will now be totally occupied by the recap Head Start program. And originally it was going to be partially occupied by the ABCD Head Start program. They pulled out. We were lucky enough to work with Charlie Quinn and the recap organization and to secure the tenants, them as tenants on this project. They will be expanding the opportunity for Head Start within our area. They'll be adding at least 35 to 40 jobs, I believe it was, as full-time positions at a pay of $21 and up. The project will be projected to be a $24 to $28 million project, many of it funded with grants that we're still working with. It is not a 100% project yet. We are now at the position where we're waiting for the final shoring of the building structural so that the state and federal historic preservation people can come in and do the final evaluation and give the direction to our engineers to give the final draft so we can put together bid plans. So, and do update cost estimates. So we're getting closer and closer. We believe the project is going to work. We're very confident, and we're happy to go to this next step with the O&W tenant announcement. Next is we had another grand opening on Railroad Avenue of a nice new business, Studio 504. The ribbon cutting was well attended. We wish them the best of luck, and we thank them for investing in our community. The last issue I have for today is tomorrow is Election Day. The polls open at 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. The early voting numbers for Middletown are very good. We know that voting is power for us here in the city, And some years we have very little turnout. This year, we're having a pretty significant turnout, and people notice us when our residents vote. So we would implore everyone to get out, cast your vote if you haven't already done so. If you've already done so, thank you for doing it. And I believe there will be rides to polls made available by the different political organizations. You can search online for whatever party you would like to have a ride from. If you have any questions on where you vote at, you can call my office, and they will give you the information, or you can go online to the Orange County Board of Elections and put in the information. But you do need your date of birth to put in there in order to find out your registration information. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any question for the mayor?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Reports of department heads, economic development.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple items I placed on your desks. All the upcoming events at the Paramount Theater for the rest of the year. Front and back, whole lineup of movies, shows. We're already booking for next year. Also, our tree lighting is coming. We would like to announce we did secure a tree. We got a nice 39-footer, 40-footer Norway spruce. Gerda family from Gerda Farms were the folks that are going to be donating the tree. We're looking to cut it on November 16th and transport it to Degnan Square. I want to thank Jacob and his crew that are assisting on the cutting and all the logistics before, we made the decision as well. And I look forward to your support on 3 resolutions I have on the agenda tonight. And that's all I have for right now.
Any question for Maria? All right, thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
DPW Commissioner.
Good evening. We have several resolutions before you tonight. I will wait until the agenda comes. If you have any questions, let me know. Many of them are budget transfers for overtime, to cover overtime, due to basically workforce shortage that we have. That's the main reason behind it. We'll also have a public hearing later on tonight about Prospect Street becoming, part of it becomes one-way, and we'll talk about it when the time comes. The reservoirs level, the water level is at 77% right now. It's compared to previous few years, this is very, very low. Last month, we only had like a fraction of an inch, which is the worst, the driest month on record for October. So we're not in good shape. We're not in desperate shape either. So I'm starting right now to advise the public to conserve. It's not a mandate. It's not anything. Just advisory, to try to conserve as much as you can. Use as little water as you need to, in order to see when this hopefully this dry weather will break. But as you know, and I reported to you before, we've been preparing for this. We've been setting up our pumps, our transfer pumps, our emergency supply sources, and they are ready to go. The only thing, we're still working on it to do some dredging and so on. The only thing is, so you guys will understand, is our system needs larger pipe to carry the water at different reservoirs to our main reservoir at a faster, much larger capacity than what we have right now. So meaning when it rains, with the change in the weather patterns, when it rains, we want to be able to capture that water as soon as possible, send it downstream to our storage reservoirs, all 3 of them, the large ones. And the only way to do that is with the next couple of weeks, I'll be coming before you for raw water line replacement and increasing the size of it. And we already have like $5.5 million from State Revolving Fund from New York State. That's mostly a loan. And then we do have some money from Congressman Ryan. He worked very hard for us, and he gave us some money for that. And We're going over the numbers to see what we have and how large of a project do we have, because we have miles of pipe outside the city to connect our reservoirs together. So the point is, what I'm going to leave you with is understand our safe yield analysis. It's a function of how fast we can get the water from point A to point B while maintaining a minimum release, because we have to maintain the survival of the aquatic life in the streams. So we cannot take every drop of it. We have to allow a certain amount, and that's all spelled out by our permit from the state, from the DEC. So that's one function. The other function is to increase our storage. So two functions. One is the size of the pipes conveying the volume of raw water into our reservoirs to keep them filled up whenever we have rain events. The second one is to increase our storage. And for that, that's what the mayor, myself, and the county exec are working on, which is the Indigo Reservoir. Hopefully we can build a reservoir, this way increasing our storage, which is what we desperately need. So two things are hurting us: our ability to convey water from point A to point B, so that when it rains we capture everything and build up our storage. That's number one. Number two is to increase our storage. In short, this is our safe yield in the city of Middletown, and this is the problem that we've been having forever. And now we're in a position, hopefully, to move forward. We have a lot of funding coming, from within and from our federal representatives. So hopefully that will help out. And that's not going to be enough, but that will be phase one of the project. I'll update you, the mayor and I will update you on that as the situation goes. But again, it's only a fraction of an inch, 0.021. I'm sorry, 0.21 of an inch. That's all we got in October. The driest October in many, many years since we've been keeping records here. Leaves pickup started in the 4th ward. Then it's going to go to the 1st ward after we're done with the 4th, then 2nd, then 3rd ward. Again, please be conscientious where you put the leaves in there, because sometimes there are some kids playing within the leaf pile and so on and so forth. It could become dangerous. So keep it as close as you can to the sidewalk, to the curb. And if you can store it on your property, leave it on your own property until we catch up. By all means, please do that. You don't have to just, the whole city puts it all at once. I left mine on my property until it was time. I just put it out on, yesterday. So I could have waited a little bit longer myself. I could have taken my own advice, but I did not. Traffic operation. This is important so everybody knows. We're milling and paving the last roads that are remaining on the traffic operation, and they are focusing on Wickham Avenue. They are focusing on Eldred, in Wisner Avenue, and Sprout, all these intersections, and the main road. We're expecting right now to finish the paving in the city, milling and paving entirely for the traffic operations, not this Friday, the following Friday, weather permitting. Unfortunately, there's no rain in sight. Every time they say there's rain, nothing happens. We get the drizzle, and that's it. That's our rain. So, hopefully they're wrong, and it's going to rain and pour, but the contractor will be upset, and he will not be able to finish the job. Before you tonight, also, we're requesting an award for the courthouse, federal courthouse, to be converted into city court, 2 city courts, and the funding, $3 million is going to be coming from the city money, and $3 million the mayor arranged through Senator Skoufis. And Senator Skoufis has been very helpful for us in many things. I'm not embarrassed to mention that, because he's been very helpful, and without his money, without his support, and Eileen Gunther, the Assemblywoman, we would not have had this money to do this important project, which is we are mandated to do, as the mayor has been advising and reporting to you over the many years. With that, I will conclude. If you have any questions for me.
Question, Alderman Johnson.
I had one question with respect to the phase 1 of the project. Will any of that take place in residential areas per se?
What, you're talking about which one? Phase 1, raw water?
Yes.
No, that's all up in woods.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah. Well, there is another project is going to take place within the residential neighborhood, which is 24-inch water main is going to be replaced potentially with a 36-inch water main, but that is finished water. It will start from the water treatment plant. It will follow like the project we just finished down Manhagan Avenue towards
Well-
Oliver Avenue. I'm sorry?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, yeah. That one is more, that's happening now. We're waiting for a proposal from the engineering firm who's going to be designing it for us. We did an RFQ and so on and so forth. That's funded by the EPA through Congressman Ryan as well.
Understood, thank you.
Yep.
Alderman Witt.
Thank you, Commissioner, for the comprehensive report. Regarding the traffic, can you share best you can when I know it's a continuing project, but like when like the new stuff will stop happening? Will they call it at some point for the winter? Is it in your mind? Can you share that at some point?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I just said, as far I know you're talking about the entire project. The entire project will continue, weather permitting, meaning it's not going to be paving, obviously, because we're hoping to complete all of the paving a week from this Friday. So, curbs and sidewalks, they'll be done hopefully also this year, except for some, like by Academy and across from the Central Firehouse, East Main and Academy and all that stuff. And all the stuff that we've been holding back because of requiring agreements and easements. But you will see traffic lights, you'll see the traffic lights, the post and the mast, they are in back order yet. Everything in this country, for whatever reason, is delayed for a million years. If you order something, it's going to take a long, long time for you to take delivery. And that's manufactured here in this country, but it's still very, very long lead time. So you will see that going on through the winter. If not, if we get a harsh winter, then it's going to resume early spring.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Kleiner.
Thank you. Commissioner, I know I'd asked you in an email, but are we making sure that no construction is blocking any of the polling places that we have for tomorrow? Because I know that was an issue.
Yeah, we're paving along Wickham Avenue and in that area, and there I don't believe there's any polling places. St. Joseph, yeah, we'll make sure they're not interrupted. There is always one lane, two-way traffic. So it's going to be flagman. You're never not going to be able to get someplace, except for the minor roads like Elders and all that stuff. You might be prevented for a couple of hours until, and we'll coordinate that with the residents on that street until the asphalt is cured long enough, and then they can drive over it. So it's going to be a few hours until they're allowed.
As long as they're aware it's election day. And
yes.
Be aware of that. And the other thing is yard waste. I know we put the notice back up that yard waste begins April 1st, 2024. But when you get to the end of it, it says the last day for picking up yard waste is November 8th. So it would have to have been out last Sunday. So there's no more yard waste pickup until next April, is that correct? But people can still take their yard waste to the recycling centers?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the yard waste. I'm sorry,
Yard waste,
the leaves, yes.
yes.
Yes, that's accurate. Yeah, we'll maintain our recycle center open and they can take it. Yeah, but we cannot have yard waste in the middle of, in the winter and storms and
Right.
freezing weather and all that stuff. We'll have a mess.
Okay, as long as people are aware of that.
Yes, they will be able to deliver their yard waste to our yard, to our recycle yard. And talking about the water department, they've been very busy, obviously, as you guys know, because you all get the text messages and water main breaks. Tomorrow night we're going to have a valve replacement in here at James and Orchard. It's an important valve. We found out that it's broken when we were repairing the water main break just down the road in front of the Avon building. So that's going to start after 10 o'clock at night.
Okay. Any reason we've had a lot of water main breaks lately? Is any reason other than just old pipes?
I think it's mostly, to be honest with you, old pipes. We had a 12-inch finished water main. That's a major water main that comes from the water treatment plant, the high pressure. I'll show you pictures. I'm going to send you emails. A whole section of it blew out. It's old. It's old. This is the oldest pipe that we have, 1878. That's a 12-inch water main that runs along Lake Avenue as well, all the way to Lake Avenue, connects to Wickham Avenue. So in here, we were just looking for water main breaks, water main leaks in there because we are in a drought and the weather is dry. So it's good time for us to go inside the culverts, open up manholes to see where water is running. If it's chlorinated with the fluoride or not fluoride and so on and so forth. That's how we found the break on across from the Avon building. Nothing came above ground because it was very close to a catch basin. All the water was going underground.
Yeah.
So we're being proactive because of the time we're in, dry weather, and this is the time to catch all these things.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Jacob. Oh, Jacob, Alderman Tobin?
Following on, Alderman Kleiner was talking about, maybe Mr. Green can tell me, the central firehouse looked like it was being sealed, the driveway, and it was closed off. Is that going to be finished by tomorrow?
Sealed driveway?
The parking lot was
The
closed.
parking lot across the street from Central Firehouse, the one that the volunteers and.
That's not us.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Bill's Flavor.
Alderman Green.
That's
Is that going to be
Bill's
open
Fla-
tomorrow?
Yeah. That's not us. It's Bill Flavor. Yeah, it's not.
Because that's where I vote. That's where you park to go vote.
Yeah. We'll check on it. We'll check on it tomorrow morning, but I didn't know anything about it. They do not need a permission from us. And Bill's Flavor, they give us this as a courtesy, to be honest with you. They don't charge the city any penny.
And maybe it's a sign where they can park on the different street.
Yeah, we'll check on it. It was, Michael, if it was sealed, it would
It
probably
was
be ready.
paved last week,
It
and
will-
it's lined and everything, so it's ready to go.
It should be ready then. It should be ready for tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll check on it. I'll send somebody to check on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Police chief?
Good evening. Just want to bring to the attention of not only the council but members of the public. This past year, 2024, we were the recipient of a SNUG funding program through Senator Skoufis's office. Part of that funding is the focus of the funding is to combat gun violence in a community. So as part of our program, when we worked with our partners and built out an agenda, we decided to partner with the school district. So we've worked with the school district to identify 3 confident, vetted programs that we feel would be instrumental in getting into the school district from the middle school into the high school to help our young youth in our community understand the consequences associated with gun violence. So with that being said, on November 13th will be our first assembly and presentation. It's going to be breaking the cycle, and that first assembly is actually open to the parents of the community. So it'll be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Middletown High School, and again, that's open to the parents of the community, of the school's community, to allow them to see what is going to be presented to their young students, and so that they could have a little bit more sense of understanding and hopefully resolve and get their questions answered if they have some. Other than that, I have nothing unless you have questions for me.
Any questions for the police chief? Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Superintendent of Recreation.
Good evening, everyone. Just to update on the current programs that we are running right now. We did have a lot of requests for some more adult programming. So for adults, we have a Get Fit with Coach Darlin. We have adult volleyball. Adults are able to register for our boxing program. We have pickleball clinics, pickleball open play, crochet classes, and also adult crafting on wood boards where you paint the designs. Some of our free youth programming we have going on right now is music for the littles, cooking class, story time with Miss Sharon, computer programming classes with 4-H from Cornell Cooperative Extension, teen open gym, and youth open gym. Our paid programming for the youth, we have art classes, craft classes, basketball, winter break program, which we were reformatting this year to a daily rate instead of paying for the full week. We noticed some parents may only need certain days, being we do have a longer winter break this year with holidays mixed in there where offices are closed. So we're doing daily rates to hopefully increase the numbers and accommodate the working families. Boxing and martial arts. Radio City bus trip is December 1st. It's $125 per person. We are starting to fill up. We are doing 2 buses this year, and tickets are selling fast. So if you are interested and you've been waiting, I wouldn't wait for too long because you might get closed out. And ice skating is coming up, weather pending. We are due to get the ice rink set up November 15th. Don't know if it's gonna be open. We're looking to open on the night of the tree lighting, but if this weather continues, it's definitely gonna get pushed out. God bless you. So ice skating this year is definitely gonna be weather pending. Check back on our Facebook page where we're gonna constantly update our Friday night, Saturday days and night and Sunday day ice skating times, all weather pending. So check back for that. And just some thank yous to the Orange County Police Academy recruits, City of Middletown departments for handing out candy to our kids from the Little Wreckers and Storytime program on Halloween. To Art and Rick from the dog park, they had a great Halloween party this past weekend where all the dogs were in costume at the dog park. That was another successful event that we had there. And thank you to all the organizations, businesses, and community partners who set up Trunk or Treat at our pumpkin party in the park. Any questions?
Any questions? Alderman Johnson.
2 questions. What's our minimum temperature to make ice?
It's supposed to be 50, but that also you have to factor in the direct sunlight that's beating on the ice during the day. So this past winter, we've noticed that when we've had a winter day where the sun is shining, during the day that it does create some puddling, but soon as the sun goes down, within an hour or 2, depending on the temperatures for the day, it will refreeze for night skating. So it's very weather pending and how much direct sunlight the rink is getting.
And your program in collaboration with Cornell, is that in their space or our space?
Our space.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
City Clerk.
Nothing this evening.
Any questions for the City Clerk? All right. Public hearings and grievances.
Good evening. We have a public hearing this evening. Notice is hereby given that the City of Middletown will hold a public hearing on Monday, November 4th, 2024, on or as near to 7:30 as possible in the Common Council Chambers, 2nd floor at 16 James Street, to hear any and all persons wishing to be heard on a proposal to make Prospect Street a one-way street heading west from North Street to Beacon Street. The rest of Prospect Street remains the same. Any and all persons wishing to be heard will be given an opportunity to speak either for or against the proposed change. Any person unable to participate at the time of the public hearing can email comments to rmccormick@middletownny.gov by order of the Common Council. Richard McCormick, Clerk of the City Council.
Okay, at this time, the public hearing is open. Jacob, just a quick question. So you want, it's Prospect Street heading all the way to North Beacon?
To Beacon.
Beacon?
Yes. To Beacon Street, which will pass through Linden Avenue, and the next block over will be Beacon Street. That's going to be one way from north heading up towards Highland.
And then from Beacon to Highland is two-way?
It will remain two-way. So you can come in from Highland, you can turn on Beacon, wherever you want to go, if you so choose. The intersection we are interested in is North and Prospect Street. That's people, unfortunately, no matter we have stop signs and we have everything, people just don't appreciate the stop sign. And many times they just go through the stop sign like they do, unfortunately, some other places, and they end up having accidents in there because they just don't obey the stop sign. Part of the traffic operation project in here, the huge project we've been doing for $31 million, is during the design, the mayor and I met with the engineers, the consultants, and said, what's the best way we can make this place a little bit better so that people who are disobeying the stop sign and there is no police around to give them ticket and points, they can be, to avoid this automatically. And the only way we thought of doing is to go one way, going up the hill, and not to allow people to come rolling down the hill from Prospect Street into North Street. That was the recommendation of our consultants as well. It was in the report that was submitted to DOT.
Any questions?
It's, again, the picture for anybody who's using, the plan is right there on our screens. It should be on TV at home or computer monitor if you're watching it on the internet. I have copies in here for the council if anybody wants it.
And we're doing the work, or are you having somebody else do the work?
That's part of the traffic operations. Boyce is doing it, yeah.
So will they do it by the end of this year, or?
No, honestly, the signs are in place right now, but they are covered. You don't see them.
Okay.
Until you pass the resolution to make it one way, that's when we start enforcing it, and that's when we start taking the signs off and show a new pattern, and we'll put our warning signs and so on.
And you worked along with the police department with this?
I don't know if the police department was consulted on this, to be honest with you. Usually I consult with the chief and everything, but I don't remember if I, this is many, many years in the making when the design was done.
Kleiner, you have a question?
Yeah, I didn't know where this came from. I know some people up further on Prospect Street have expressed concern. I mean, they're not here for the public hearing tonight, and maybe they didn't know about it. But I know in the past, people have asked about making North Street a stop sign, of making that a four-way stop, and people have said, no, it's too close to the traffic light, and you know, it is a highway through there. But I just don't know, is there any place else in the city where we've done this? Is there, and can we think of any example where we've made part of a through street a one-way?
We've done that by the Salvation Army, if you remember. That was a high traffic, high accident location. By the Salvation Army, it used to be V Ford in there. Now you're not allowed to, it's one-way street right now. So, I'm sorry? Robertson Drive. Thank you. Robertson Drive, and there between the diner and the Salvation Army.
Yeah,
we've done that
off of 211.
in order, and that was extremely helpful because at that time, you allow somebody to come out of that road in there and jump through 5 lanes, and to make a left-hand turn to go up to 11 or 3 or 4 lanes. I don't remember the details, but that was passed, and I believe it's a lifesaver, for minimizing accidents.
Okay, can I ask the chief if we've had many accidents there? If this,
I don't know
if he knows if this has been an issue.
At the intersection of Prospect and North?
Yes.
So I don't have all statistics. I wasn't prepared for that. However, I do know there was a very serious accident there this year, in which you have a motorcyclist that was paralyzed as a result of getting hit by a car that didn't stop at that stop sign. So just as recent as this past summer, we've had a very serious accident there.
Okay.
But I could get you statistics if you want for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I'd like to see how much of an issue it's been for the people who are concerned about making it the middle of the street, one way in one direction. It's
What type of time frame are you looking for?
What's that?
Time frame.
I don't know. Public hearing is open for how long for comments?
We can keep it on for the next meeting.
Okay, but I guess by the next meeting.
No, I'm asking how long back do you want me to go?
I am maybe 2 years.
2 years? Okay, I will email them. I'll get them to you in the next day or so.
Okay, thank you.
That accident that the chief just spoke of, we're involved in a $20 million lawsuit because of it. It's just, it is what it is. But we had our own employees get hit at that location because of people disobeying the stop sign, and so it's just an ongoing concern, and the chief will give you all the results.
Okay, anyone else? Whit?
Yeah. So to me, I don't really know if this is a question more than a statement, but it seems to me like coming up that off of Wickham and making that right where the Smith Street is the sharp right, that's like sort of wonky. And then when you come up to by North, the fence on the corner of that property seems to cause more obstruction than anything else. So if we were to go, was there any consideration to make, if it's going to be one way, all the way to the end coming down? Because then the only way you can get down to North Street or that area is either by Wisner or Cortland, I guess it would be. That's like a long way to not be able to get all the way down.
You have Linden Avenue, you have Wickham, you have streets in between. So we're just
But you
trying
can't
to-
get down them. You can't get down because you can't get Wisner. I understand what you're saying is, but if you're on Highland, like, if you don't go down Wisner, you can't go down.
You could come down Prospect from Highland, and you could still go down Beacon or Linden Place and still go wrap around.
But what's the up part?
It's preventing people coming down to North Street because they're not stopping.
Not stopping at
Not
where that
judging
store
that
was on the corner?
Cars
Or
are speeding
whatever it was.
both ways, or not speeding, but driving, and then people are trying to cross over.
Okay, that just is, I got to wrap my head around it. I'm not going to stop it. I'm just saying, because I, grew up around that area, and it just seemed like coming down that hill, and then Smith Street was sort of a challenge there, too. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Alderman Green.
Thank you. I did actually have spoken with a resident of that immediate area, and that was pre-public hearings when they asked me when it was. And she did say to me that, she'd understood it would be a little bit of a learning curve and an inconvenience, but she did understand the need given that recent accident and things she'd seen. But there was concern with the fact that the signs were already there. She kind of felt like it was not a public hearing. It was kind of a done deal already. So basically, they're covered though, as you said, Commissioner, correct? The one-way, okay. So if it didn't go through, it would be taken down, per se. It's not, okay. So it's not a done deal. I just wanted to put that, publicly, that the signs are there, but they're only there out of anticipation that this would be done, not that it is a done deal by any means, so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, do I have a motion to close? Do we want to keep it open? You want to keep it open for 2 weeks? All right, so we'll move on. The public hearing will stay open for another 2 weeks. All right, remarks of Alderman. Alderman Tobin.
Well, I mean, I appreciate everybody staying to the end. I mean, you might not agree with what we're thinking, but one of my pet peeves is when people talk a lot in the meeting and leave early, so I do appreciate that. And I was on my phone telling my wife that, not to wait to eat dinner before me, because we're going an hour over, but nothing to see.
Alderman John Francois.
Just like to encourage everyone to go out and vote tomorrow. It's very important. Our democracy is at stake. Please, 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 vote, vote, vote. Thank you.
Alderman Johnson.
Thank you. I think we've clarified the status of the good cause issue, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Alderman Kleiner.
The warming station is going to open on November 24th, and there are 2 more training dates before then. 7 o'clock at Mulberry House if you're willing to volunteer for a 2-hour shift or an overnight shift. One was today, but that's gone already. But on Tuesday, the 12th, and on Wednesday, the 20th, at the warming station at Mulberry House, it'll be about a 1-hour training session. Our constituents meeting will be a week from today. It'll be on Veterans Day evening. So right here, we have a drought, save water. Commissioner has, I think, outlined that pretty well. I want to thank our election workers. As you know, election workers are under a lot of stress this year, and I just want to thank anyone who's taking part in that. One good thing after tomorrow is the damn TV ads will stop. The constant political ads. That's Citizens United. We can thank the court decision for that, and billionaires controlling our elections. The disinformation has been incredible. I hope we will stop at some point demonizing immigrants and all immigrants. I'd like to demonize Elon Musk and Rupert Murdoch, but it's, that's another problem with money. The bad news is that the stock market is up 23% this year. I remember Donald Trump saying if you elect Biden, there'll be a crash worse than 1929. Well, there have been 47 new all-time highs for the stock market this year. Inflation is 2.4%. As you know, gas prices now are below $3. Unemployment's at 50-year lows. The interest rates were cut 0.5%. Our economy is the best in the world, bringing others up with it. The wealth at the bottom half of the people has doubled. There's just so much economic bad news that people are concerned about. I don't get it. I think that's pretty much it. If you don't understand the role of women, I would repeat what our Middletown, when we put in those water lines, if there was any dispute over the water lines, they were allowed into court. And except for infants, the insane, idiots, and married women would all have somebody else represent them. So, yes, it happened here. It's a national issue, but it is a local issue. So that's it. Thank you.
Alderman Green.
Thank you. Yes, I hope to see everyone on Monday at our constituents meeting. And absolutely, please get out and vote. And if you got to wait in a line, it doesn't look like it's going to be such a bad day to have to do so. So please get out there. Polls open at 6. So I know a few people who are already going to be waiting there in the morning. See you then.
Alderman Witt.
Thank you very much. I would just like to invite this council, our community. We are on December 3rd having a Recreation and Parks Committee meeting at 7 o'clock where Superintendent Berthoff is going to review everything that our recreation program has done in the last year. Council President Rodriguez was a big supporter of this idea last year, and we just firmed it up today. So I know Raylyn felt like half of it already today with all the offerings that she talked about, that we continue as a city to make economically friendly for our residents. And I think it was very well received last year. It was probably about 20 minutes or so. But she and her team did a terrific job. So it'll be also televised December 3rd at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. New business.
Good evening. We have a resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson authorizing an $11,640 budget transfer from the general fund towards the cost of painting at the city courthouse.
Sponsored by Alderman Johnson, second by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin. Aye. Jean-Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt. Aye. President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean-Francois authorizing a $15,000 budget transfer within the DPW 2024 budget to cover the cost of materials for the remainder of the year.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean-Francois, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean-Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin authorizing the acceptance of a $750,000 grant from the Office of Aileen Gunther, administered through the New York State DASNY towards various city projects.
A resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin, seconded by Alderman Jean-Francois. Any discussion? Alderman Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to join the administration. You know, we had our celebration last Thursday, I guess, at the Erie. The contributions that Ms. Gunther has made to the city are immeasurable. Nobody is not replaceable, but I think we should stand in good record that we really appreciate all she's done for the city. Thank you.
Mayor, can we invite her to a council meeting? Maybe. Definite.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean-Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois authorizing a transfer of $16,000 to cover the costs of the street department overtime.
A resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin. Aye. John Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner authorizing a $10,000 transfer for the DPW administration overtime.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner, seconded by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt authorizing the acceptance of a $200 donation from Robin and Fran Whitman in memory of Richard Wolfslayer.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin authorizing the transfer of funds within the police department budget.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Tobin, seconded by Alderman Kleiner. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt authorizing the transfer of $11,110.09 within the Recreation Department budget to cover overdrafts.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
John Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green authorizing the acceptance of a $600 donation from the Middletown Kiwanis.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green authorizing the approval of a Cherry Road security gap assessment proposal.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green, seconded by Alderman Kleiner. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson authorizing the transfer within the 2024 city budget to cover overdrafts and costs for the remainder of 2024.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner authorizing the transfer of $10,770.54 within the senior center budget.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Kleiner, seconded by Alderman John Francois. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez. Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green requesting that the County of Orange to exempt certain properties of the city of Middletown from certain county real estate taxes.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Green, seconded by Alderman Kleiner. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner. Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
Massey. I'm sorry. President Rodriguez.
We didn't drop.
He's watching.
Yeah, okay.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean Francois authorizing a transfer of $8,000 within the Economic and Community Development Department for architectural services for round 2 of DRI facade improvement programs.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt authorizing an agreement with Young Explosives for the fireworks exhibition at Davidge Park on July 2nd, 2025.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Witt, seconded by Alderman Johnson. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean Francois authorizing a renewal agreement with Marshall and Sterling Insurance.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Tobin. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean Francois authorizing a proposal from CDM Smith for air facility permit renewal at the wastewater treatment plant.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, seconded by Alderman Kleiner. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean-Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. Resolution sponsored by Alderman Jean-Francois authorizing the awarding of bids for the renovation of the courthouse.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman John Francois, second by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean-Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries. That concludes new business.
Audit.
Mr. President, I move the accounts be audited, the claims be adjusted, and the city treasurer be authorized to issue warrants for their payment.
Resolution sponsored by Alderman Johnson, seconded by Alderman Green. Any discussion? Roll.
Tobin.
Aye.
Jean-Francois.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Kleiner.
Aye.
Green.
Aye.
Witt.
Aye.
President Rodriguez.
Aye.
Carries.
Move for adjournment.
So moved.